Are we ready to praise the Lord today?
Yes.
Amen. Let us open in prayer. Father God, it is a privilege to be here on this Palm Sunday. Let us come into your house with praises and thanksgiving. Let us remember the glorious work that you have done in our salvation, in the creation of this world, in our preservation as a Christian family. Father, we want to give praise and worship to you today. And we want to also have a sober remembrance that after the triumphal entry into Jerusalem, there was a tragic and awful crucifixion, but that ultimately you reigned and were victorious over death, and that this whole saga is part of the story of our Christian faith. God, let us enter into Holy Week with praise and thanksgiving and prepare our hearts for both the crucifixion and the resurrection. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
But I forgot the Lord's Prayer. Let us pray together the prayer that our Lord Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
please rise and join us in worship through music.
Good morning.
I Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Too holy. There is Oh,
Bless this day, bless our message, Lord, and bless our fellowship. Bless the food. We love you. Amen. Amen. You guys may be seated.
Today, York Healthcare and Wellness Center. Join us from 1:13 p.m. to 2:13 p.m. at the York Healthcare and Wellness Center. See Pastor Darrell if you are interested. 今天下午1点半到2点半，我们要去约克健康和住宿中心。如果您感兴趣的话呢，可以跟 Pastor Darrell 联系。第三个事情 ，the third one，Good Friday service, April 19. Pastor Hugo Larris is our keynote 所有的人带上家人和朋友一起参加。第4件事是 the fourth one is Sunrise Resurrection Service, April 21, at Arroyo Seco Park at 6:13 a.m. There is a lamp in the lobby. Early in the first day of the week, Mary went to see the home of Jesus. Invite family and friends for this brief but impactful service. 那4月21号在 Arroyo Seco Park 早上6点半是复活节服务。那天早上非常简短，但是会令人印象非常深刻。The 5th one is early bird pancake breakfast. Immediately after the sunrise service, you are invited to our pancake breakfast. Breakfast ends at 9 a.m. 新优姐，那么在那一天复活节的早上的服务之后呢，马上就有一个早餐 pancake 早餐，早餐是持续到早上9点，所以呢，希望大家都参加。The sixth one is Resurrection Day Service, 10 a.m. Do not forget to invite your family and friends to this life-changing service. 那在10点，就是复活节那一天的10点，是一个改变你生命的一个服务，请大家参加。The 7th is our annual spring cleaning day, Saturday, April 27, 9 a.m. Sign up for specific cleaning duties on the sign-up sheet located in the lobby and in the fellowship hall. 就是在那个进门的大厅和吃饭大厅里面，我们有一个注册表，是每年1度的春季清扫日注册。如果大家那一天有时间，是4月27号早上9点开始，什么时间都可以，那一整天都有一个清扫的服务事工。The last one is agape boxes， 这是一个希伯来语的agape boxes are located in the rear of the church for your tithes and offerings. Thank you immensely for your giving. 这是爱心奉献和11奉献箱，就在我们这个大厅的后面有3个箱。感谢大家的奉献。So now it is time to acknowledge our first-time visitors. If you are visiting us for the first time, please stand and tell us your name and who invited you. Please tell us your name and who invited you.
My name is Ben. I'm Gail's friend from Boston.
他的名字叫 Ben， 他是
他的名字叫 Ben， 他是 Kayla 的朋友，从波士顿来的。Yeah, his name is Ben from Boston, and she is Kayla's friend.
My name is Adriel, and I was born and raised in East Los Angeles. A good friend of mine who I met this last Thursday invited me. His name is Darrell. First time here, so.
Welcome. 大家听到吗？他是洛杉矶出生和长大的。Yes.
Okay, my name is Darrell, and my friend John Bin introduced me to here. Thank you.
基督徒。
Mr. Zhang was baptized here 7 years ago, and he just came back to visit us.
Hi, I'm Michael. This is my wife Kathleen. We're from Western Massachusetts, approximately 100 miles from Boston. We're here visiting our friend Edith, and we're very happy to be here. Thank you very much for your time.
跟波士顿接壤的那个州过来的伊迪丝请他邀请他来。Thank you for visiting with us today. Right after the service, we are having lunch, and you are invited to stay. There is a special table prepared for you, so please stay for lunch for any first visitors. Now it is time to greeting one another. Please stand and greet your neighbors, and do not forget our visitors. Thank you.
？Good morning, everyone. It's time to scripture. 大家好，我叫瑞，今天 我来帮助大家来读这个圣经。Today we read Matthew chapter 21, verse 1 to 11. As they approached Jerusalem and came to the Bethphage on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied there, with your coat by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord is them, and he will send them right away." This took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet, saying to the daughter Zion, saying, "Your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had instructed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and placed their cloaks on them for Jesus to sit on. A very large crowd spread their clothes on the road, while others cut branches from the tree and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and those that followed shouted, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is who comes in the name of Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven!" When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred and asked, "Who is this?" The crowd answered, "This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth and Galilee." Sorry. 今天我们分享的圣经是马太福音21章1到11节。耶稣和门徒将近耶路撒冷，到了伯法其，在橄榄山那里，耶稣就打发2个门徒，对他们说：“你们往对面村子里去，必看见一匹驴拴在那里，还有驴驹同在一处。你们解开，牵到我这里来。若有人对你们说什么，你们就说：主要用它，那人必立时让你们牵来。”这事成就，是要应验先知的话，说：“对西安的居民，看哪，你们的王在那里，是温柔的，又骑着驴，就是骑着驴驹子。”门徒就照耶稣所吩咐的去行，牵了驴和驴驹来，把自己的衣服搭在上面，耶稣就骑上。众人多半把衣服铺在路上，还有人砍下树枝来铺在路上。前行后随的众人喊说：“和撒那，奉主耶稣的名是应当称颂的。高高在上，和撒那。”耶稣既进了耶路撒冷，和成都惊动了，说：“这是谁？”众人说：“这是加利利拿撒勒的先知耶稣。” May the Lord bless the hearing and the reading of His word. Amen.
am so excited today. I always get excited on Palm Sunday. It's one of the best days of the year for me because it's a time when we start to consider the wonderful sacrifice that Jesus made for us. I love to walk in and see the palms. This year, those of you who were with us for the first time this year, last year, we had big giant palms. Everybody was waving, right? But this year we have them on the floor, which still reminds us that this was the day that Jesus came into town on the back of a donkey. And people spread palm leaves on the ground. And all of those things that took place that day have a very profound significance. And we're going to look at a couple of those things today. But before we do, I'd like to echo just a couple of the important announcements. They're all important. Can we first of all thank Nancy? She did a wonderful job. There she is. She's also our translator. She's wearing many hats. Okay. Thank you, Nancy. She did a great job on that. Thanks to all of the visitors today. Can we thank the visitors again? I remember we try to keep up with names, but there were so many names. We want to thank the friends of Alvaro for inviting his two friends. Thank you for visiting with us this morning, and the friends of Tita for visiting with us this morning. There were a couple more folks in the back. In fact, we want to thank you, invited by Isabel, I think it was. Michaela, yes, okay. Good to see you there. The gentleman who was baptized with us some time ago. We thank you for your attendance. By the way, if you are here today and you have not been baptized, we will have another baptismal service on April 28th. That is the Sunday after Resurrection Day. And so let me know, Pastor Frank know, if you would like to be baptized on that day. A couple of announcements really quickly. After the service today, during lunch, we're going to do a couple of things at lunch. First of all, our visitors, we invite you to stay. We have a special table set up for you. We really would like to show you, extend our hospitality to you at that time. During lunch, we're going to say hello to or sing happy birthday to our April birthdays. We are also going to view a movie, The Prince of Egypt, for our young people. So we're going to make sure we get all our young people in the room. Some of us older folks, it'll be a good movie for us as well. I know I like watching those children's stories, especially when it's that animated kind of picture. So that'll be fun. And then one order of business really quickly before we get going. Sunday the 20th, or Saturday the 27th of this month, a couple of Saturdays, not this Saturday coming, but the next Saturday, men in particular, we're going to meet to do some spring cleaning here at our home. I know you watch your wives do that in your personal homes. Ladies are going, what? No. But men, we need you to help us on Saturday the 27th. We're going to do some major things in our fellowship hall and in our kitchen, so we're going to need as many men as possible. So if you haven't signed up yet, the sign-up sheet is in the foyer in the lobby here, and then we'll also bring it over to fellowship hall to make sure we can get as many folks as possible signed up for that. Amen? Amen. Praise the Lord. I won't keep you long today. I know that as the weather begins to warm up and it's nice outside, there are more and more temptations for us to get out there. And certainly, that's not a bad thing. But I believe this message today, as we remember today as the start of Passion Week. Sometimes we don't hear that in Palm Sunday. But Palm Sunday is the start of the most difficult week of our Lord and Savior's life. And so as we remember him and this day, there's some things I believe that will jump out at us in this story that perhaps we hadn't observed before. how many of you have had the experience where you thought you knew something, and later you found out that what you thought you knew was wrong? I had that experience just yesterday. Yesterday I came home right after the prayer breakfast, which, by the way, was a great outing for us. Some of us were in attendance, and it was a great time to hear our co-regional ministers really in their kind of farewell speech. And it was an excellent time in the Lord. Well, right after that meeting, I came home. I was able to catch the last part of the Masters golf tournament. And for those of you who watch golf, that's a big tournament. Typically, you'll have all the big names in that tournament. And it's especially wonderful this time around because Tiger was playing, Dave was playing, Mickelson, Bubba Smith, all of the great golfers were present in this tournament. And my pastor, who was the host of the prayer breakfast, also likes golf. And typically we'll watch golf and we'll text each other back and forth. You see that shot? And wow, look at the score. And so we do that often when we're watching golf. Well, this particular Masters tournament, it was announced during the match that today's final round would be earlier than scheduled because they're expecting inclement weather in Georgia. And so they moved the match, the tournament time up to 9 a.m. Eastern time. Right? And so we knew that that meant we have to record it because, it would be playing during church hours today. And I thought, now here's where the conflict occurred. I thought that 9 a.m., you're going to say, where do you think that, Pastor? Eastern time would be 12 noon here. Right? So I sent him a text. I said, okay, well, make sure you record it at 12 noon. He says, no. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Eastern time is 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I was like, no, you're wrong. The sun rises in the east. Big deal I go through with him, right? And so we're going back and forth until finally I decided to check my phone to look at all the world clocks, right? And I see, oh my God, he's right. So when I texted him and told him, you're right, he relished that moment. No, I'm exactly right. Yeah. I said, yes, you're right. And I thought about that. I thought about how, if I had persisted in that, I would have missed the tournament. If I thought that the tournament started at 12 noon, when by 12 noon it'll be over, I would have missed the tournament. I thought about the people of Israel, particularly as it relates to Jesus. They had expectations that Jesus the Messiah would act in a certain way. They had expectations that when the Messiah came, he would be a man of war, that he would overturn the Roman Empire and he would put the Jews on top, right? And as a result of having this expectation of the Messiah, they missed the true Jesus, because Jesus didn't come as a man of war, he came as a man of peace, and that was symbolized by the riding in on the donkey. Now, Zechariah told them, and other prophets even before him, like Isaiah 2,600 years ago, that Jesus would be, that the Messiah would be a man of peace, that he would come riding in on a donkey. Our passage from today in Matthew 21, verse 5, that's taken from Zechariah, who wrote that and announced that to the Jewish people some 2,600 years ago. But the Pharisees and the Sadducees had convinced the people that the Messiah would be a man of war. And so as a result of that, they didn't set their clocks to the right time. I'll wait for some of you to get that. That was a good joke. As a result of wrong expectations, they missed Jesus when he came. And I think about how people miss Jesus today, really in the same way. People today expect that when they receive Jesus, that he will solve all of their life's problems. Sometimes we come into church with very heavy hearts and really significant problems. And some people believe that when they come and they accept Jesus, that all of those troubles, all of those problems will go away. And when that doesn't happen, they miss Jesus. They don't see what he truly came to do, and consequently, they miss him. Now, in order to welcome Jesus joyously in our lives as the risen King, it is of paramount importance that we properly understand who he is. Amen? And I'd like to help reveal that through Scripture to you today. Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to gather in your house, in your name, and to hear your word. Oh Lord, so many things happen on Sunday. We come on Sunday to greet our friends, Lord. Some people we won't see again until next Sunday. We come, Lord, for wonderful fellowship. We come, Lord, to be in your house. We come for the lunch and the food and the fellowship. We come for all those things, Lord. But if your word didn't go forward, then we know this gathering would not be the same. And so, Lord, we pray now that in this moment you would set aside anything that would distract us. You would open our spiritual ears, that you will speak directly to us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. How many of you know when you come to church on Sunday, you can expect to hear from God? I know it's real easy to get caught up in the deliverer, right? Particularly when he's almost 7 feet tall. But I want you to close your physical eyes, open your spiritual eyes, and more importantly, open your spiritual ears to hear a message that can only meet you in your spirit. I believe if we'll do that, we will hear something about this story. Jesus riding in on this donkey, on this colt, this donkey. We'll hear that story in a new light. Now, when I think about the Jews missing Jesus because they had wrong expectations, I got to share with you a funny story. When I was in grade school, when I was in the 6th grade, my youngest brother was in the 3rd grade. And that was the only time that he and I were in school together, because after that, some of you will remember, there was junior high, and junior high was 7th through 9th. And so I would be, when I graduated 9th grade, then he was coming on as a 7th grader, and the same with high school. So we were never in school together again after those years of being in elementary school together. And I can remember one day, my little brother, it was lunchtime, he comes running across the playground with a group of friends behind him. He's crying, and he says, "Darrell, this boy hit me. I want you to go beat him up." Right? And I'll never forget, we were walking toward this little boy that had hit my little brother. And my intent all along was never to hit the little boy. But I can imagine that as he saw me coming, that there was great fear. But when we get to the little boy, I ended up making both of them apologize to each other and to shake hands. And I got to tell you, that was not what my little brother was expecting. My little brother was expecting that I would show up and I would beat up this little kid, and now he could tell everybody, "Don't mess with me, because I got a big brother who will beat you up." Right? But I so disappointed him in terms of what his expectations were. And I imagine that's why he never, ever again after that came to me crying for me to beat up another little kid. So I didn't fulfill his expectation. Now, when Jesus died on the cross, it seemed as though he was defeated. But it was by his death that he gained the victory. Now, what we learn from that is that Jesus overcame death by surrendering to the Father's will. And in doing so, he established a precedent of surrendering to win that is true for all God's children. What we learn from Jesus' life, not just during the Passion Week, but from all of the lessons he taught throughout his life as well, what we learn is that for the children of God, victory comes. The victories over life's challenges often are achieved through what seems like defeat. For the children of God, victory oftentimes comes to us through what appears to be defeat. Sometimes our victories in life come not because we've figured everything out or because we have all of the right answers. Sometimes our victories in life come by surrendering to God and admitting, God, I can't do this. I need you. Sometimes we have to cry out to God. And it's in the crying out to God that he meets us and we receive the victory. I don't know, as I thought about this message this morning, I knew there'd be someone here. I don't know who you are, but I know there's somebody here and you're struggling with something that has been overwhelming for you. And the Lord sent me here this morning to share with you that your victory will come by surrendering to it. Surrendering to God. Saying, God, I can't do this. I need you. And in doing that, oftentimes we hesitate to do that because, see, we don't want to admit defeat. We want to continue to fight. But there are some challenges in life that we will only overcome when we surrender to God and admit that we need him. Victory on God's terms means being willing to surrender to win. Now, I know that that's not easy. You know, we come into the house of the Lord with major challenges. Somebody here is struggling maybe in their marriage. Or maybe somebody here is struggling with their children. Or maybe on your job you're having a problem with your boss or another employee. Or maybe you're having trouble managing your finances. It just doesn't seem to be enough to cover all of the bills. It could even be that you are having challenges with your health. And a diagnosis maybe you just received from a doctor. I don't know what you're struggling with, but the Lord sent me here this morning to tell you to surrender to him. When we surrender to the Lord, God meets us and he fights our battles. When we are willing to surrender to God without fail, he shows up and he gives us the victory. Victory on God's terms means being willing to surrender. And that requires some tough decisions that we have to make. One of the first things that winning on God's terms requires is that we be willing to lose in the eyes of the world. That's not a popular message. It wasn't popular that Jesus came to be a suffering Messiah. He was rejected for that very reason. And many people reject surrendering to win for that same reason. It's not easy to finish last in the eyes of the world. But you know, some of you are familiar with the story of the rich young ruler. He came to Jesus and he says, "What must I do to be saved?" And Jesus says, "Sell all that you have, give to the poor, and follow me." The one thing that he lacked was he was not willing to surrender to win. He was not willing to sell everything he had to follow Jesus because that was not his idea of winning. He didn't see how by surrendering he would actually win. But look what Jesus says to the disciples with respect to that encounter over in Mark chapter 10. I want to read 3 verses beginning at 29. In Mark chapter 10, right after that encounter with the rich young ruler, listen to the words of Jesus to help us put into perspective this very important principle that for us as children of God, sometimes our victories come through what seems to be defeat. But it's only a seemingly defeat. Because in actuality, we actually win. And that will be evident in this passage I want to show you here in Mark, beginning in chapter 10, verse 29. It says the following: "Truly, I tell you," Jesus replied, "no one who has left home or brothers or sisters or mother or father or children or fields for me and the gospel will fail to receive 100 times as much in this present age, homes, brothers, sisters, mothers, children, and fields, along with persecution, and in the age to come, eternal life." But listen to this last verse. "But many who are first will be last, and the last will be first." Now, that doesn't just apply to the Jews being last because they were first, being last to enter into heaven, after the Gentiles who were last, and now they will be made first. That doesn't only apply to them. That also applies to every opportunity in life that we have to glorify God. This principle applies to every situation where, in fact, we can bring glory to God through how we venerate Him, through how we worship Him, and how we live. When we are willing to come in last place in order to glorify God, He places us in first place. And so what appeared to be defeat, actually, in God's eyes, is victory. There's so much we could teach on that principle, that oftentimes for us, victory comes through apparent defeat. There's so much we could teach, but I think one of the last things I would like to show you, and perhaps one of the most important things that we learn from Jesus' life as our example of how God's power works. Sometimes God's power isn't in the things that we don't find God's power reflected in the things that are powerful in the world, but we find God's power being reflected in those things that are obscure to the world and unknown to the world. I think one of the most fascinating aspects of this principle is given to us in the last part of our text. Would you turn back to our text for today, which is in Matthew 21. The last thing I want you to observe in this text with respect to the very important principle that for us as children of God, victory comes through apparent defeat, is that winning on God's terms requires a special kind of humility. Now, in our text, I'll read to you verses 10 and 11. It reads as follows. When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred and asked, "Who is this?" The crowds answered, "This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee." He is so much more than a prophet. How many of you know that? He is so much more than a prophet. Jesus was God in the flesh. Jesus was no mere prophet, though his words were prophetic. But Jesus was God in the flesh. Now, Jesus could have said, he could have been indignant, he could have said, "Oh no, excuse me, I am the Savior of the world. I am no mere prophet." But he didn't. He kept his seat, he humbly kept his seat on the donkey, and he held his peace. That's because Jesus knew that his identity did not have to be affirmed by man or the accolades of the world. Jesus was confident in who he was because of his identity in the Father. And the same has to be true for us. We don't have to worry about being ashamed because the world doesn't receive us. And oftentimes in those moments when we're going to achieve our greatest victory, it'll be because we were more concerned with how we appear in God's eyes than we appear in the eyes of the world. And it is through that principle that we gain our greatest victories in life. But just as the Jews missed Jesus because he came as a suffering Messiah, we can miss God's power to change our lives if we don't see the importance of being willing to finish last and to have a certain kind of humility that says, it doesn't matter what you think of me, as long as I know what I'm doing pleases God. God says when we come in that spirit, he says, though you are finishing last in the world, you will be first in the kingdom. And though you may not be received in the world as someone great, he says in his kingdom you will be the greatest. And so as we remember Jesus on this Palm Sunday, let us remember that it was on this day that he began to demonstrate the most powerful principle available to us to give us access to God's power. And that is this principle of surrendering to win. For the children of God, victory over life's challenges is often achieved through what seems to be defeat. Can we give God glory in this house?